Good evening and welcome. This is the regular City Commission meeting for the City of Largo for Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask that if you have a cell phone, please turn it to silent or off so that we don't have any interruptions. We're going to start tonight's meeting with an invocation given by Pastor Joe GLYMPH from Prince of Peace Lutheran Church here in Largo. And then if you could please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Thank you. Let us pray. Almighty God, you are the creator of us all. We praise you for your great goodness toward us and for blessings we may take for granted each day. Make us wise and attentive stewards of the gifts you have given, land and water and the beauty around us, the talents of financial resources available for us as a community. All are from your hand, and we thank you. By your wisdom, O God, we have governments to maintain order, to provide services for the common good. Gracious Lord, such tasks are especially challenging in these months when schedules and even approaches to our work have been forced to change in ways we may never have imagined. So we thank you for those who protect us, who come to our aid, who care for our neighborhoods weekly, who carry out the day-to-day duties for our city, and for these leaders here tonight. Counsel them in their decision-making and help them to discern those paths which are best for all people now and in days to come. Hear our prayers, O God, for you are our rock and redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. The first item on the agenda tonight is a ceremonial item, Police Department 2020 of the Year Awards.
Perfect, thank you. If you could all join me, recipients, please. Tonight I have the pleasure of bringing forward our of the year recipients for 2020. It's quite the year, and we're playing a little catch up getting our employees up here for recognition. So I'm going to start with telecommunicator Lindsay Brandt first. Lindsay, step forward. Lindsay has been a telecommunicator training officer for approximately 2 years. In that time, she has trained nonstop in all necessary facets of the communications center. Lindsay is a dependable trainer we count on to instill new employees with the values we expect. She makes sure her daily observation reports are detailed and completed in a timely manner. This helps her trainees know where they stand in training and where they need to improve. Her method of training gives the trainees the necessary tools to succeed in their job. She continues to mentor even after they're on their own. While training for almost 2 years straight with little downtime in this area, Lindsay still takes time to review and suggest ideas on how to improve the training curriculum. Lindsay does the same job when she's not training and carries out her work without issue. She frequently fills in as acting supervisor when needed. She makes sound decisions and can be trusted to handle whatever happens during the shift. Lindsay is well respected by her peers as well as supervisors. Her demeanor and confidence make it a pleasure to supervise and work with. On October 25th, 2020, while working the midnight shift, she answered the administrative phone line and began speaking with a distraught female currently located in Arkansas. The caller was utilizing 2 phones to talk to her sister and now the Largo Police Department. The caller reported that her sister was located somewhere lying in a ditch having an epileptic seizure. The caller did not know where her sister was, only that she was in Pinellas County and maybe the city of Largo. Using a new software program, Carbine, Lindsay was able to take over the cell phone and get vital information such as GPS location and video of the phone. While the GPS wasn't working, the video was, and Lindsay was able to piece together her location. The patient's location was not even in the City of Largo jurisdiction, and she could have easily passed the call to a different jurisdiction and wasted valuable time that the patient did not have. Instead, she went above and beyond her normal duties, and with her quick thinking, she was able to save this woman's life. For her dedication, support to the Largo Police Department and the City of Largo, Lindsay is being awarded the Telecommunicator of the Year for 2020. Next up, we have Bridget Stevens. Bridget. Bridget has been with the police department for 4 years. She has been a great resource for the policies and procedures for the records department. Bridget was assigned to learn the court liaison position and was able to pick it up and learn quickly. She took very detailed notes and assured she didn't miss a thing. If anyone has a question about any job duties and records, they can go to Bridget. She'll pull out her notebook and give them an answer. Bridget is one of the first people to step up and do what is necessary to get the job done. When we were in the midst of COVID-19, they were working 2 days a week in records. She made sure all the work was done, whether it was part of her duties or not. Bridget wanted to make sure that no work was left for other staff. Bridget has really grown over the last 2 years in records. She takes her job very seriously. She has no problem going to a supervisor to discuss any issues that she might have, or if she observes procedures that could improve and make their job easier. She is the person in records that has learned to count on with her supervisor out of the office. She treats everyone with respect and be one of the co-workers or citizens that she comes to assist. For her vast wealth of knowledge and her willingness to help her co-workers and the citizens of Largo, Bridget Stevens has been selected as the Largo Police Department Civilian of the Year for 2020. Next up, we have Crossing Guard of the Year, Jeannie Wilson. Largo Police School Crossing Guard Jeannie Wilson has served since February 1989. She has provided support and safety to the Largo school children for over 32 years, serving at various locations throughout the city. She is currently our most tenured guard and meets and safely crosses Mildred Helms Elementary children at her post at 8th Avenue and Clear Largo Road. Ms. Wilson is dedicated to providing excellent, safe service and can be found on post, rain or shine, and anything the unpredictable Florida weather can throw at her. She looks forward to meeting and seeing her regular pedestrians each morning, always greeting them with a friendly smile and a good morning. She has remained on post every day without exception, providing safe passage to her students throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. She has not taken any time off of her post and has taken her assigned duties and responsibilities to be on post very seriously during this time. Her dedication and commitment to school students in Largo and even assisting parents coming and going each day should be commended. She is truly a great ambassador for the City of Largo and provides a standard of excellence for the Largo Police School Crossing Guard program. For her ongoing commitment and dedication, Jeannie Wilson has been selected the School Crossing Guard of the Year for 2020. Last, but certainly not least, Volunteer of the Year, David Norville. David? David has been a volunteer of the Largo Police Department for 4 years. He has routinely provided service in the areas of patrol, special events, and our Viper unit for call-outs. Mr. Norville assists community development, community standards by using red tag civil infraction violations throughout the city, requesting compliance for code and small civil infractions. Mr. Norville has worked throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, providing up to 60 hours a month of service. He has continued to patrol on a routine basis and has responded to several after-hours serious traffic crashes as the member of the volunteer Viper unit. Mr. Norville is quick to respond to any request that he's asked of him. He takes his position as a member of the police volunteer unit seriously and understands his role as a community supporter and a great ambassador for the police department. David has participated in all events and requests for special services throughout the pandemic, providing support for a presidential visit, Chief Safety Day, Christmas, and holiday events. He has shown throughout the year that he will provide support to the police department and provide service to the citizens of Largo while this health pandemic continues across the country and in our community. For his dedication and support to the Largo Police Department and the City of Largo, he is being awarded Volunteer of the Year for 2020.
Great job.
Congratulations. Thank you.
I think you might have walked me to school back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the same here. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. It's a long time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Next, we will have citizens' comment. If you'd like to speak about something that is on the agenda outside of the consent docket, please wait until that item comes up. Do we have any cards this evening?
I have one card, Rob Williams. Oh, I'll take him. Oh, yeah.
Hello. How are y'all doing? I'm back. It's the third meeting in a row, but I'll be brief. I'm obviously here to speak about Florida Celtic Soccer Club and the Belcher Road Soccer Complex. But I wanted to bring up two things in which he's passing around will be, first of all, our schedule for what we're doing this summer to show that we do programs all summer long, even when our fields are technically shut down. And the second part of that is a little bit of the outreach that we've started doing in the Rainbow Village and the Ridgecrest communities. We were out there last week. I was working with an attorney that does a literacy program there, and we were planning on having a free soccer clinic, inviting any of those kids out on scholarship to come play in our recreational and competitive program. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. I know we're moving on to the next step of the process for the Belcher Road Soccer Complex, and I look forward to answering all the questions that are put before us, but I just wanted the commissioners and the mayor to know that we are responding to what you all are saying, and we really want to do what we can for the city of Largo and the residents and really get them playing some great soccer programs. So thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was the only card.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll have approval of the agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is approval of minutes from the regular meeting of May 4th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question about the minutes.
Sure.
At the beginning of the meeting, a motion was made by Commissioner Smith and seconded by Vice Mayor Robinson to approve allowing Commissioner Fanger to participate remotely. The vote was unanimous. However, it's recorded as a 6-0 vote, and of course, Commissioner Fanger wasn't part of the meeting until we approved it. I believe it might be better 5-0. Can we make that amendment?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
So that was noted. I have a motion and a second with one amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Commissioner. Could I hear the consent docket?
Item 4, authorization for additional spending under the annual purchase agreement, bid number 19-B-644, sanitary sewer, reclaimed water, and stormwater repair in the amount of $700,000. Item 5, renewal of RFP number 17-P-597 for healthcare services related to employment with Concentra for a one-year period in the estimated amount of $98,000 with authorization to utilize Baycare Urgent Care as an alternative provider. Item 6, authorization to purchase playground equipment for Datsco Park from Game Time in the estimated amount of $168,500 utilizing U.S. Communities Contract number 201-700-1134. Item 7, authorization to accept a code enforcement lien settlement agreement between the City of Largo and Haney Tawadros. Item 8, appointment of Roberta Hoskin to the Municipal Code Enforcement Board. Item 9, award of RFP number 21-P-209, citywide roof preventative maintenance to Sutter Roofing Company of Florida for a 3-year period in the estimated annual amount of $24,825. Item 10, award of Phase 2 of the scope and fee to Hazen and Sawyer PC to update the City of Largo Engineering Design and Construction Standards, RFQ number 19-Q-666, in the amount of $86,000. Item 11, authorization to pay broker's fees associated with purchase of properties for the future City Hall site to Colliers International Florida LLC in the amount of $113,800.
You've heard the consent docket. I'll entertain a motion.
I move, I move to approve the consent docket without commission discussion, including staff background provided in the commission packets.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I would like to take just a second. I don't see Ms. Hoskins here, but I'd like to thank her for stepping up to serve on the Municipal Code Enforcement Board. We appreciate the support of all of our board members. So thank you, Ms. Hoskins. Next up, we will have a public hearing, resolution number 2292.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. This resolution is adopting the Capital Improvements Program for fiscal year 22 through 26. The CIP is a 5-year planning document and does not approve projects or appropriate funds. The Commission is required to adopt a CIP document no later than June 1st. The first year of the CIP will be included in the fiscal year 2022 proposed budget. This process begins in the fall, and it involved numerous proposals developed by teams of staff in all departments. It is reviewed by peers, employee teams, and the executive leadership team prior to prioritization and inclusion in the proposed CIP. Part of the CIP process is to solicit public feedback. This year, we did this through various measures. We received feedback via Balancing Act, a budget feedback tool located on the city's website at largo.com/financial center, if you would like to take a look. Following the release of the proposed CIP, it was reviewed at the Joint Finance Advisory Board and Commission meeting in April. The Finance Advisory Board then met to discuss in late April and provided a list of recommendations. The FAB supported user fee and rate increases outlined in the long-range financial plan. They also endorsed the CIP document and the presentation of information. The FAB recommended subsidizing the golf course with general fund and capital needs. They recommended exploration of other measures to increase revenue to the course, including memberships, raising fees, and private events. They also recommended expediting the funding for the body-worn camera project as soon as possible. The Finance Advisory Board also recommended utilizing COVID relief funding for the Highland Recreation Center generator project and moving that up based on the availability of funds. They recommended funding the Southwest Dive Tower and pool repairs using the COVID relief funding. And they also recommended using the COVID relief funds to move the police body-worn camera project up.
Thank you, Brooke. The city, on those final few recommendations, we are still evaluating the requirements associated with the American Rescue Plan stimulus funds, and will provide more detailed options in the coming months with those recommendations from the FAB in mind. Included in this proposed CIP are continued investments in line with the city's strategic plan. Under our goal of investing in quality public infrastructure, this CIP continues investments rebuilding our fire stations, using penny for Pinellas funds to continue street paving and invest in stormwater infrastructure throughout the city. It also includes ongoing investments in improving and rehabilitating our wastewater infrastructure throughout the city. Aligned with our goal of a flexible and resilient organization that delivers superior city services, you'll see continued investment in technology modernization in the CIP. That includes the city's transition to Microsoft, which continues to be funded in this plan, as well as a new computer-aided dispatch and records management software for the police department, and the implementation of a new citywide land management system for permitting, licensing, and other land management functions. Continuing our focus on downtown, there are more investments in the West Bay Drive corridor extending from the Pinellas Trail to Bel Air Bluffs, as well as property purchases that are underway that will support the construction of a new mixed-use downtown municipal complex in the heart of downtown. And that project you'll see in this proposed CIP as well. Finally, under the area of public safety, we continue to fund public safety vehicles utilizing the Penny for Pinellas, and you'll see that investment continued throughout the CIP, as well as that new project of police body-worn cameras. And per the City Commission's direction, we'll work to include that proposal in the FY22 budget, which is a change from what you see in the proposed CIP. We'd like to thank staff in every department for the time that went into developing these projects and providing so much information that was necessary for the development of this plan. Thanks in particular to Brooke Bailey, Project Manager, and OPB, as well as Sean Lopez and Matt DiFiore for their work in putting together this plan. And finally, thanks again to the Finance Advisory Board for the time and input that went into informing the recommendations to the Commission and the direction of the CIP. And with that, staff's available for any questions.
Resolution number 2292, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, adopting the 5-year capital improvements program for fiscal year 2022 through fiscal year 2026, establishing the fiscal year 2022 capital improvement program as the capital budget for the City of Largo, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions from the commission?
I move to approve resolution number 2292.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I would like to say that this has been a long process. Although we didn't have much discussion today, we've talked quite a bit about the capital improvement plans and plan or program, and thank you all so much for your hard work on this. Great job. Next, we have item number 13, an interlocal agreement.
Good evening. This item is regarding an interlocal agreement between Pinellas County and the City of Largo. The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners will be considering levying a 5-cent local option fuel tax on or before September 30th of 2021. The purpose of this interlocal agreement is to establish a plan for the administration and expenditure of the proceeds, and to establish a distribution formula for the tax proceeds. If the 5-cent local option fuel tax is levied by Pinellas County, the annual revenue projection for the City of Largo is $750,000. The estimated impact of the tax is $27 per vehicle per year. Currently, 36 of Florida's 67 counties have levied a 12-cent fuel tax, including Pasco, Manatee, and Sarasota counties. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Kim, real quick, what was that amount you said per year?
It's estimated at $27 per vehicle per year, and that's based on about 10,000 miles with 20-something miles per gallon.
And that's as is now, or if it increases?
That's if the 5-cent were to pass.
Sorry, I was off in another land when you were talking about that. Apologize. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve an interlocal agreement by and between Pinellas County related to the administration and distribution of a local option fuel tax of 5 cents per gallon and authorize the city manager to sign the interlocal agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is resolution number 2290.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. The Community Development Department is proposing a technical revision to the fiscal year 2019 through 2022 State Housing Initiative Partnership Program, the Local Housing Assistance Plan. The plan provides the strategies and guidelines used for the department's housing programs. This proposed technical revision amends the owner-occupied and rental affordable housing development strategies to allow the city to use alternative financing terms, including grants, if required or requested by a primary funder for a project. The city would still have the sole discretion to determine if the request or the requirement warrants alternative funding terms. An example would be if a primary funding source for the project requires local match as a grant. State Housing Initiative Partnership funds can typically serve as this local match for affordable housing, and this provides the flexibility rather than a loan term that we would be able to provide that grant in order to help leverage additional funding as well. Staff is recommending approval of this technical revision in Resolution 2290, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Resolution number 2290, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, approving technical revisions to the State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program, parentheses SHIP, fiscal year 2019 through 2022 Local Housing Assistance Plan to allow alternative financing terms for owner-occupied and rental affordable housing strategies, authorizing the submission of the revised fiscal year 2019 through 2022 Local Housing Assistance Plan to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, authorizing the city manager to execute any necessary documents or certifications requested by the state, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions from the commission?
I move to approve resolution number 2290.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is item number 15.
The previous item relates to this item. We have had a request for a local match that is required as a grant, so we did those in consecutive order on the agenda today. I'm going to share the overhead document just to show the proposed project here. Seminole Squares Partners LLC has a contract on the property located at 2075 Seminole Boulevard and plans to build a 96-unit garden-style affordable housing community. The developer plans to pursue the state apartment incentive loan program, or the SALE program, which is a primary funding source for larger rental affordable housing developments. The developer is requesting a $75,000 local match as a grant from our State Housing Initiative Partnership Program as part of their application for the SALE program funds. The overall estimated project cost is $27.2 million, and again, the local match requirement they're looking for is $75,000 for this project at this time. The Community Development Department supports this proposed development as it is located within the Largo Mall Activity Center and along a transit corridor that can serve as housing opportunities for our retail sector and hospitality sectors in these areas. The proposed local match would be allocated from the State Housing Initiative Partnership funding and would be officially awarded through an affordable housing agreement should the developer obtain the SALE funding for it. So at this point, we're asking for this local commitment letter that would be part of their application. If they are awarded, we would go through an official agreement process with them for those funds. The request tonight, as mentioned, is to get commission approval and authorization for the mayor to sign the local government verification of contribution form in the amount of $75,000 from the SHIP program that will be included in the developer's application for the SALE program. I have Brett Green from Archway Partners available by Zoom on behalf of the developer that can answer any questions you may have as well from the developer.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions? Vice Mayor
Thank you.
Robinson.
I definitely support this, but in the summary of the agenda item, there it states that the developer is also planning to incorporate green building design features into the development, and I'm sure you all figured I was going to ask this. So what are those specifically?
I'm going to turn it over to Brett. Brett, if you want to chime in on this and share some of those green design standards that you're planning to include in the projects.
Sure. Thank you all very much for having me tonight and considering this item on the agenda. Mayor, Mr. Vice developments are designed to be energy efficient, and actually they'll all obtain a green building certification from LEED or other similar type nationally recognized green building association. Typical green building features include low flow water fixtures, highly efficient appliances, washers and dryers. We also have we promote co-riding and co-sharing. We always put areas for pickup and drop off to kind of help with less vehicular traffic. Various items. I don't have a list of the green features, but there's a substantial amount of them. On all of our projects, we retain a green building consultant who oversees the project to ensure that we comply with all the necessary items to get certification. I think on this project, we're going to be looking to obtain a silver level certification from the National Green Building Standard.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Smith?
For the gentleman, what other developments have you done? Have you done local or surrounding that we could take examples of?
So I actually haven't built anything in Pinellas County myself. I actually just recently was working on a master plan community called West River with the Tampa Housing Authority. It was a 44-acre mixed-use project over in the city of Tampa. I'm currently building a project up in Panama City. It's a very similar garden-style development there. I'm also building a 120-unit garden-style development in the city of Stark, just north of Gainesville. Throughout my career over the last 15 years, I've built about 2,000 multifamily apartments throughout the state of Florida, all very similar. They range anywhere from garden-style, villa-style developments up to 8-story high-rises. So we have a very wide range of experience developing these projects. And one thing everyone is concerned about is what does affordable housing look like in your community? And that's something we're very cognizant of. We realize this is an infill location, and there's a lot of traffic, and a focal point of the area being just north of the Largo Mall. So all of our developments, as you saw from that rendering, will look very similar to any other market rate project in the area. A lot of times, even though we charge less, sometimes they're higher quality than some of the market rate developments. And certainly the apartment project across the street from there is a very high quality one, and we want to be very similar to what that is.
And when will you start doing community input?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we, of course, do community input on all of our developments. We've actually already had a pre-application meeting with many members of the planning and water and sewer utilities, fire department. We already had a preliminary meeting just so we could get the nuts and bolts of what this development should look like from a compliance and planning and zoning standpoint. Because if it is in the overlay, it does have some special features such as greenways and things like that we want to be sure we comply with. But once we actually obtain the funding, it is kind of a long process. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is working with all the different municipalities. We're actually working with Pinellas County as well to obtain a good chunk of the funding that we need to make the project happen. So it is a long-term process. Once we secure all the funding, we will, and we actually start working on a detailed site plan and design. We'll start working with the community to find out specifically, what things that everyone wants to see in as far as the look and feel of the community. We don't ever, and my company is called Archway Partners. We specialize in working with stakeholders, local organizations, to bring what their community wants. We're not looking to bring a type of look or feel or design of what we see for the area. We really want to gain input and do something that meets what the community needs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard.
Just to continue Commissioner Smith's questions, what kind of a timeline do you have for this? I know it's long range, and I won't hold your feet to the fire, but when do you expect to break ground and have it coming out of the ground?
Yeah, so if all things go well, and we're able to move this forward, on the fast track, I think we could try and potentially have something going vertical in sometime in 2023.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe third quarter if we can get permits expedited and things moved along throughout all the various entitlement and permitting processes. A lot of times that does get slowed up just because of the number of applications that all the various municipalities are getting and so forth. Everyone's quite busy, but we don't take on a tremendous amount of projects. We do a couple of projects per year, specifically so we can focus on the ones that we are excited about.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I move to approve $75,000 in local match funding and authorize the mayor to sign the local match form.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Next is item number 16.
Yes, this item is the review of city attorney performance and compensation and approval of the 18th Amendment to the city attorney's agreement. The mayor and I recently met with Mr. Zimmett, and we agree that Mr. Zimmett and his associates continue to provide excellent legal services and advice to both city staff and to the city commission. And this evening, we recommend that the monthly retainer be increased by 4%, which is equal to what we anticipate including in the FY22 budget for employee pay increases. And in addition, the hourly rate for services that are performed beyond what's covered by the retainer be increased by $5. And we're available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions for myself or Mr. Schubert? Mr. Carroll.
No question, just a statement. I'm very proud to say our city is represented by Mr. Zimmett, and we have a long history. He has evolved along with this city, and at every turn he represents us professionally. Not afraid to tell us bad news, and he is highly, highly respected at all levels, everybody I have contact with. So I think we're very fortunate, and I really appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.
Well said. Any other questions, comments?
I move to approve the 18th Amendment to the city attorney's agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Mayor, let me just point out, I don't think you asked, but I did ask the city clerk, and she had no cards. No, it was no public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I was
Mr.
just
Attorney.
testing to see if you were earning. Good job.
That's that $5 there. That's what it was.
Thank you.
Money well spent.
There were no cards. Thank you. Next is ordinance number 2021-50.
Good evening, Mayor Brown, Vice Mayor Robinson, and members of the commission. My name is Matt Butler. I'm sitting in for the building official tonight, Mr. Hatton, who is unable to attend tonight's meeting. The agenda item before you proposes to amend sections of the Code of Ordinance, Chapter 22, Article 5, so that those sections are in alignment with State Statute 205.053 regarding municipalities and occupational licenses. One item of interest is the existing ordinance, as currently written, allows the city manager to make an affidavit of arrest and bring a person to trial for failing to pay a business tax receipt. If approved, this section of the ordinance will be removed. Staff is available for questions.
Ordinance number 2021-50, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, amending Chapter 22, Article 5 of the City of Largo Code of Ordinances by amending Section 22-103B, providing the city manager with the authority to designate a city employee to classify any business for business tax receipt purposes, amending Section 22-104A1 to provide for the documentation needed for issuance of certain business tax receipts, amending Section 22-105A to clarify exemption and registration for certain persons, amending Section 22-107 to clarify penalty and enforcement actions, repealing Section 22-109 regarding enforcement procedures, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
I move.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Sorry.
Just real quick, Henry, are you sure you're willing to give that ability up?
I'm happy to say I've never exercised that authority.
Well, You might want to keep it just in case. You never know. Sorry, Samantha.
That was your only question?
That was it. That was really important.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-50 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on June 15, 2021.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is ordinance, thank you. Next is ordinance number 2021-36.
Honey, do you have to turn in your badge now?
Good evening. The following ordinance is amending ordinance number 2021-14, which annexed one property located at 7125 Darien Way. It was brought to staff's attention after the annexation that there was a scrivener's error in the legal description. The ordinance is now being amended to include the correct legal description for that property. All requirements as specified in Chapter 171 of the state statutes have been met, except for the advertisements, which will be published before the public hearings, specifically on May 26th and June 2nd. The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners and Pinellas County Planning have been noticed and to date have not provided any objections. The property owner was also notified. Staff is available for questions at this time.
Ordinance number 2021-36, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, amending ordinance number 2021-14 by providing for a corrected legal description of the tract of land located at 7125 Darien Way, Pinellas County, Florida, being annexed, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions?
I do want to just point out real quick that the map that's currently displayed is not the correct ordinance, just for reference.
The correct map was up there for.
Oh, it was? Okay.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-37 on first reading and schedule second reading and public hearing on June 15th, 2021.
That's,
Hold on. I think
that's
we're in
36.
36.
Yes.
Right.
Am I on the wrong one now?
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Yes, I am. I apologize.
So the
All right, so it's just
motion was to approve ordinance number 2021-36.
36 on first reading, schedule second reading and public hearing on June 15th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Once more, so the following ordinance is amending ordinance number 2021-19, which annexed one property located at 1819 Juanita Court. It was brought to staff's attention after the annexation that the legal description did not depict the full extent of its boundary. The ordinance is now being amended to include the correct legal description for that property. All requirements as specified in Chapter 171 of the state statutes have been met, except for the advertisements, which will be published before the public hearings, specifically on May 26th and June 2nd. The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners and Pinellas County Planning have been noticed, and to date have not provided any objections. The property owner was also notified. Staff is available for questions.
Ordinance number 2021-37, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, amending ordinance number 2021-19 by providing for a corrected legal description of the tract of land located at 1819 Juanita Court, Pinellas County, Florida, being annexed, providing for severability, providing for effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Commissioner Gerard.
Just a question to educate me. This really doesn't affect the annexation. The annexation has gone through. This just amends the legal description. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this property is already part of the City of Largo, and we're just correcting a scrivener's error. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-37 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on June 15th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is item number 20.
The following ordinance, 2021-54, is a first reading for the annexation of one property located southeast of Ulmerton Road on the north side of Walsingham Road and west of 125th Street North. The current taxable value for the property is a little over $836,000 and will add an additional 3.27 acres to the municipal boundary. The land use of the property is commercial general. The property is currently vacant. However, once annexed in, it will be combined with the triangular property on the north side in order to develop townhomes.
All requirements as specified in Chapter 171 of the state statutes have been met, except for the advertisements, which will be published before the public hearing, specifically on May 26th and June 2nd. The property is contiguous to the city's municipal boundaries through previous annexations and together helps to reduce the size of existing enclaves. The ordinance proposes to annex property that is compact as that term is defined in Chapter 171. Therefore, it is staff's opinion that the property may be annexed voluntarily in accordance with Chapter 171. The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners and Pinellas County Planning have been noticed and to date have not provided any objections. All city departments reviewed this annexation and indicated services can be provided. Staff is available for any questions at this time.
Ordinance number 2021-54, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located southeast of Almerton Road on the north side of Walsingham Road and west of 125th Street North, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of commercial general, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions?
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-54 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on June 15th, 2021.
Second.
I would like to make one comment. Thank you for providing the pictures and the map. I know we suggested that last time to have the pictures of the property, so appreciate it.
I do have a question. Is their address going to change once they're annexed in?
The mailing, like the city or the actual?
Well, right now it
Walsingham
looks
Road?
like the address is 0 Walsingham.
Oh, yeah, once it will be assigned an address.
Because that would be a cool address. That
Key West.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item number 21. I think this is you, Mr. Zimmett.
I put your name on it.
Could be wrong.
I thought Henry was doing this, sorry. So as the city commission knows, we are nearing closing on the 3 parcels of property that the commission has approved purchase for the new city hall in the 400 block on the north side of West Bay Drive, and the 500 block. This motion would, or this item would authorize Mr. Schubert to execute all the closing documents and other documents that are necessary to complete the purchase of the 3 parcels of property. And so with that, we are, I believe the date, Henry, was May 25th. I believe we're set to close May 25th.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact date right now off the top of my head.
It's coming up pretty quickly, and everything's moving forward, and we should be closing on time. And so, because we didn't ask you last time specifically to authorize Mr. Schubert to sign all the documents, we need you to do it at this point.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
We have no cards.
Any questions from the commission?
I move to approve authorizing the city manager to execute all closing documents and any additional required documents for the closing on the city's purchase of property located in the 400 block on the north side of West Bay Drive.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Zimmett, do you have anything this evening?
No, I just would like to thank the commission for its continued support, and I look forward to continuing to work with everybody.
Thank you. Commissioner Hulk.
Yes, just real quick, congratulations to the 2020 recipients from the police department. We appreciate everything that you do. Mr. Zimmett, thank you for another wonderful year of guidance and positive energy. Your knowledge is amazing to me, and I appreciate you being able to answer questions at the drop of a hat. Henry, I just wanted to ask, so of course everything we're getting millions of emails about the soccer situation. So the deadline for that is May 31st. So where do we stand with that, considering that it's May 18th?
Yeah, all participants in the process understand when the agreement expires with the current soccer club. At this point, we are anticipating bringing a recommendation to the City Commission at your June 15th meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carroll.
Couple things. First of all, I told some of you, but I just received notification. I've been appointed as the vice chair of the Florida League of Cities Policy Committee, Finance, Taxation, and Personnel. If you have issues that you would like to put before that committee, I serve on it along with Kim Adams. So if you have issues that are near and dear to your heart on those topics for that committee, please get them to me or to Kim, and we'll be happy to present them. This came up before. This is more of a Henry thing, and I don't know that I want to make it an action item, but do you think you could have somebody take a look at the crosswalk at Largo Central Park, the one that, the artistic one between the library and the park? I had a citizen approach me and wonder if that was going to be refreshed. It's getting kind of faded, and also there was a question about lighting and signalization there. It's come up before, but lately I'm spending more time in the park, so people ask me about that. I also had an employee approach me about whether or not we might, as part of the budget process, take a look at the tuition reimbursement program for city employees as it relates to graduate degrees, and take a look at how we compensate, or if there's any changes possible. And as you know, graduate degrees are more expensive, and again, I'm not sure that's an action item, but I wanted to share it with everybody here simply because of the budgetary impact. And the final one, also a budgetary impact. It seems that we might consider, as we go into the budget season, the possibility of having the police department present the alternatives or the concept of a public information officer for that department. A professional full-time public information officer in the current climate in law enforcement, with all the issues surrounding transparency and our accreditation process, and trying to communicate to other communities outside of our city limits on issues like annexation and trusting the police. It might be advantageous to have somebody paying attention to that full-time. I'm certain that whoever, if that were to come to pass, that it would be closely related to our marketing department, but many departments around the country use a full-time public information officer. So again, I'm not to send this out there as a grenade for Henry, but I wanted everyone up here to know that what I'm thinking as we go into the budget season. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Finger.
To echo some of what's been said, congratulations to the Police Department 2020 of the Year Awards. It's always great to start our meetings off with ceremonial items now that we're, and especially back in person, and that we got to see them and congratulate them and hear about the great work they are doing in our community. Also, thank you to Alan and his team. We are always being well represented, and enjoy working with you, as well as some of the other members of your team that we have been able to work with. And to what Commissioner Carroll just said about having a full-time liaison, or I'm sorry, the correct word would be a information officer. I have thought about that for our city. It was always kind of surprising to me that we didn't have someone dedicated fully for that role. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that would be very helpful to have, and even just as maybe even would also somehow relay information back to us as well, kind of work that. So I appreciate that you brought that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard.
Thank you. First of all, I want to congratulate Habitat for Humanity on their new offices. They're beautiful, they're expanded, and it allows them to expand their programs and help more families to, find a home and build a home of their own. Their work is outstanding. Last year, they dedicated 61 homes around Pinellas, and they're on track for 65 this year. and this allows them to have more education space and more program space. So congratulations to them. Congratulations, and thank you so much, Alan. We're really fortunate to have you and your team with us. And I think a public information officer is really something worthwhile to look at. I think that would be a great help, and bring an added measure, of support for the department and the city. I don't know if I want this to be an action item either, but I would like to ask if we might be able to, in an upcoming work session, have a little presentation of what it takes to vacate property in the city. I've been talking to a citizen who's been struggling to get this, to get a vacation of a public sidewalk, so people aren't cutting through his property all the time. And I'd just like to know what the process is, and perhaps even investigate if we can simplify it or offer more city support in this process, because it's backbreaking. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Robinson.
Thank you. Just a couple things to echo some of the statements earlier. It's very nice to be able to recognize the folks that we had up here earlier from the PD. It's, they probably don't get recognized enough for the things that they do. The crossing guard has been working for the city since 1989. I think the mayor and I might have both had her as a crossing guard at one point. But that's fantastic. I mean, that shows her dedication to the city of Largo, and as well as the other folks that are here as well, that were here tonight. Thank you, Alan, for everything you do. Obviously, you've gotten a lot of accolades tonight, but we all do appreciate everything that you're able to do for the city, and happy to be able to continue to have that support. Outside of that, Commissioner Carroll, your comments on Central Park Drive kind of jogged my memory. I was out there on Central Park Drive on Saturday with the Largo Youth Leadership Council. They actually painted a couple of storm drains covers right there by the crosswalk, right in front of Central Park Performing Arts Center. They did a fantastic job. I wanted to say thank you to them, and specifically a couple of staff members that were out there, Chris Bonini, Kara Peel, and Marissa Carlisle, who are all staff members from different departments, but help with the youth council, and they all did a fantastic job. I also want to say thank you to Anvil Paints, who donated all the paint. Again, the second time they've done that, so that's fantastic. They are really willing to help out when it comes to that. And speaking to a couple of the folks out there, as well as some residents who stopped by and were talking to us, the crosswalk came up, and the speed on Central Park Drive as well. Maybe this probably, can be discussed at some point, but, whatever, I think the speed's 30 miles per hour there, and I know we do have a process for lowering speed now in the city. I'm not sure what that would be there, because I don't think there might be just one property owner outside of the city of Largo on Central Park Drive. So I'm not sure what that looks like, but then also maybe, talk about having some sort of the flashing beacon crosswalk there, because it's a very heavily used crosswalk, and it's kind of in a blind corner for people who might be speeding through there. So if we can kind of take a look at a couple of those things, but I really just wanted to particularly say thank you to the youth council for everything they did. They've spent about 6 hours out in the sun on Saturday painting those crosswalks, and they did it all by hand. So everything that was done was you can go by, check them out. They did a fantastic job, and just another great way that they're contributing to their community.
Mayor, could I add to what the Vice Mayor just said? We have coming before us soon potential redevelopment in that vicinity. And these sorts of things probably all should be wrapped into that discussion, because if that goes one way, it's going to really increase traffic on there, and pedestrian safety is going to be such a concern. So I just mentioned that as we consider the other things.
Thank you. I just had two things. I was going to mention just a comment on the public information officer. I think it's a great idea. I do think that it may be somebody that serves in an emergency operations capacity as well. If a hurricane's coming and we have somebody not just for the police department, but for our EMPC could put out some public statements as well and help us craft those things. I think it'd be great. Lastly, I wanted to say that the City of Largo is hiring. I looked on the website a couple days ago, and we're hiring snack bar attendants, lifeguards, summer camp staff, event assistants, all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're looking for a summer job, this is the place. Sign up. We got some openings.
Is there an age limit on that?
No, you can do it. Yeah, open to all. We're an equal opportunity employer. Do we have any, Mr. Schubert?
I have nothing.
I probably took your "we're hiring" thing. Any action items?
No, is everyone sure they don't want their items to be action items?
You can make mine.
No, we do not.
Diane, you can make mine an action item.
Okay. Yours was, that was a work session presentation on how to obtain a vacation of like easement in the city and possibly.
How to vacate property in the city.
Commissioner, can we maybe talk after the meeting? I have a feeling I know what the issue is.
Yeah, it has to be their property to begin with, and not in the right of way.
Yeah.
I don't.
We can do the presentation, and engineering staff handles the vacation request, but my guess is we've had an issue long-standing with a certain
Right.
development, and the problem is they refuse to file an application for vacation. So
Well, why don't we talk about it, and I'll withdraw the action item, but why don't we talk about it because we should get clear on that. Okay?
As long as we got time to get out of here for the hockey game, we can talk about it.
Well, I'm sure Alan's going to make sure we do.
You're going to mention the bank?
All right, any other action items? We're all set?
Well, I think everybody's coming.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk. I think everybody in this room's coming, so almost.
Good. We'll have quorum, although we can't talk about anything. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.